Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is obviously a sequel to Jurassic World that came out 2 or 3 years ago. And now we've got Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard continuing and going on with more dinosaur fun problems. You get it. I'm not going to delve into the plot too much. But this movie, I literally just discussed it on my podcast. Cheap plug, but it is Titanium Entertainment Show. You can find it on my channel for the link there. And I've realized that this is a very divisive movie. This movie, a lot of people had a lot of fun with and really liked. Some people, had fun with, but saw problems. Other people just didn't have as much fun and just went, okay, that was not as good as I wanted it to be. And it's fun with a movie like that. And especially with movies like this, where I'm in a middle part where I enjoyed it, but I saw a lot of things wrong. I'm going to point out the things I didn't enjoy. So I'm going to start out with a lighter heart and tell you that this movie is a lot of fun to watch. It is dinosaurs. It is Chris Pratt. It's going to be fucking fun to watch. Regardless of the stuff they could have improved on, it's going to be fun to watch. The dinosaurs look phenomenal. From the get-go, they just look awesome. Like they did in the first one, it is awesome to watch these creatures run around and you get to see them. It's phenomenal. And Chris Pratt, again, is such a movie stealer, and he just literally held this movie together. Everything he had made what this movie was. But unfortunately, there's also some negatives to this movie. This movie felt very, very similar for me to the first Jurassic World. I felt like the way they set it up, very, very similar. The way the problems initiated, very similar. We ended up with a big bad dinosaur hunting down, and we've seen it before. And it is hard, because what else can you do? How can you change it up enough? And I don't think they did for me. I felt like the way they had, the scenes and we got to a point where there's a dinosaur chasing, and I'm like, I know how this is going to go. And they got to a point where they're like, all right, we're trying to weaponize dinosaurs. We've seen that before. And it makes it so much harder, because we've seen 4 Jurassic Park movies before, and this is the 5th. How do you do something different? And yes, I know Jurassic World was very similar to the first Jurassic Park, but I feel like because of the 20-year difference, it's something fresh, it's something new. But when you do it 2-3 years later, it, to me, just seemed very, very lazy writing, that you're just going to write into the same thing that you kind of did before. And yes, there's differences. It's not the exact same movie, but just the way the plot left and the way the story went felt very eerily familiar for me. And, it didn't make me dislike the movie, but it just made me want a bit more and a bit extra. A lot of the stuff we'd seen, and then the stuff they added in, Chris Pratt being one of them, with his scenes, was a bit unbelievable for me. He was outrunning volcanoes, to put it the best way. He was quicker than dinosaurs at some stage. He was knocking out like 9 dudes in a row. And I understand he's a Navy SEAL, but not that many dudes. That's a bit ridiculous. And they kind of made him fucking super Chris Pratt at some stage, or super Owen Grady at some stages. But he's still a fun character. It took away from me at some points. And that was a thing that happened that took away from me. Predictability was another thing that took away from me, when I knew exactly what was going to happen. When they set up a scene and they went bang, and I went, all right, I know what's going to happen next. That's something they did that, to me, it's hard to avoid, because we've seen the same thing so many times. As I said before, it makes it hard to avoid, yet they're going to keep doing it, and I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm just going to go, maybe next time think of something a little bit different. And they try something a little bit different in the way that they implemented kind of horrorish, darker tones in this movie, which would be a good thing, but the way they implemented it was totally inconsistent. They went from scenes of light and fun running and jokes, then straight to the next one where it's like a dark, meant to be a horror scene. I just wanted them to commit to a tone. It's hard, because you stick with the stuff we saw in Jurassic World, where it's intense and it's fun and you go, holy shit, but it's not necessarily, you still feel scared. Whereas this one tried to really make you scared. It tried to darken the tones, tried to give you real horror vibes or thriller vibes, and I didn't get that. I got it for a second, and then it went away, and it kind of took away from it, in my opinion. They definitely needed to pick a tone and stick with it. That is a big discrepancy for me in this movie, that the tone wasn't necessarily set from the get-go, and they kept flipping and flopping around. And I know people can say that's the way to keep it fresh, that's the way to keep it real, but to me, if your movie is good enough to set one tone during the whole movie, if you can keep a tone, if you can keep a story going, you don't need it. If it's good enough, you don't need it, something to keep it fresh. You don't say it's something new to keep it audiences entertained. You should be able to keep them the entire way around with the story you have there. And obviously, if they feel the need to do that, and people thought that was a good way to freshen it up, the story wasn't obviously engaging enough. Nearly died there. But it's an interesting movie for sure, because I did have a lot of fun with this movie. It does do a lot of things, as I just said, that they could have improved upon. Similar to Ocean's 8, I had a lot of fun with this movie. There are a lot of things I said could have been done a lot better. And with a movie like this, I feel like they fell into a few cliches with the Jurassic World movies, which is fair enough. It's big dinosaurs, you have to. But, you know, it could have been something a bit better. They kept, I just felt like they kept implementing stuff they didn't need to. The tone was a big one for me, and even times when they initiated music to seem like a thriller scene and then it just went away and you're like, well, that was a bit weird, and initiating weird, awesome scenes all the time to be like, that's a dope scene, put it in. They did that too many times. And again, this movie's funny. It has a comedy relief character that people may not like. Fair enough. I enjoyed him. He was funny to me. He was scared of everything, a bit cliche, but he was fun and he was there to make the movie funnier, and they did that. Owen Grady, Chris Pratt's character, is quite funny. He's also the action star at the same time, and he was awesome. As I said, he held the movie together, and Bryce Dallas Howard was also pretty good. So the characters there, even though they didn't do a hell of a lot of development from the first one, or like really changed and kind of went through the same stuff they did in the first one, it was still good to watch the characters on screen doing these scenes, and it was funny and it was enjoyable to watch. And that is the biggest thing. Whenever you put dinosaurs on screen, and especially with Chris Pratt, it's going to be hard for me not to have a good time, and I did have a good time. Just for me, it could have been a lot better, and a few things just took away from it. Irregardless, I did have a lot of fun with this movie, and I'd probably watch it again, and I'd have the same problems, but I'd have the same amount of fun, and that's pretty much what this movie delivers. Dinosaurs and Chris Pratt, why not? This movie, for me, Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom, is getting a C+. Thank you guys for watching my review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. As I said, a few of my reviews have been late. I'll explain that in a channel update that I'm doing very, very soon, as well as some cool stuff I've got coming up. As I mentioned before, I've got a podcast. You can find that on my channel links right under channels. It's called the Titanium Entertainment Show. With me and my two buddies, we talk movies, entertainment, TV, whatever we're talking. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun doing it, and we want to continue doing it. So we'd love the support. I'd also love the support here. If you haven't seen it before, so press that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, comment if you would like. But of course, guys, have a good one.